Hey guys, I just wanted to show you some film photos that I just got back today from a couple 35mm cameras. So I clearly shoot a lot of digital and do some fancy stuff, but I really do love to shoot with film too. So I had a couple rolls of this Kodak Ultramax 35mm. So one of my favorite cameras I like to play around with because it's light and easy is this Olympus M-1. This thing is like circa 1972. It was given to me by one of my regulars at the bar. I get a lot of film cameras as gifts, honestly, which is really cool. People bring them to me at First Friday, and so I try to shoot with them when I can. It's kind of time consuming, to be honest with you. You gotta get the film, and shooting is way more intentional, which is one of the things I like about it. You have to really think about your exposure. You can't just snap a whole bunch of pictures. When you're shooting digital, you see it right away. You even have like the live viewfinder to show you what your exposure looks like. But when you're shooting film, I mean, you're like pissing in the wind. So, but what's really exciting about that is not only shooting with the intention, but getting them back is like, you know, getting your Amazon packages. And then I also was shooting with this really old Kodak Retina Automatic camera. So my friend Mark bought me this from an antique store, and this is like circa 1961, 62, 63, something like that. And it looks like it, and it is quite an antique. But it was really cool because the box that it came in still came with this manual, so it's actually really helpful. I didn't really look at it, and it shows because when I got the pictures, they weren't that great. So I'm going to definitely be going back out with that camera. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you how not good the pictures I got with this were. And like I said, that was because I kind of went out blind thinking that I knew what I was doing with this camera, but yeah, I got a little distracted by how many dials there were, and some of them I couldn't even move. I didn't even know how to change them, so I was really winging it. So let's take a look at those pictures. They weren't so great. Oh, it's one of my dogs. So this was just me literally trying to figure out how to push the button and, you know, just even operate it whatsoever. So this was in Death Valley. These palm trees I took, that's a little better. So this film always does better outside, in my opinion, even though it is an ISO 400. When I'm shooting indoors, I really gotta pump it up, and then it makes it really grainy, which can be cool if you want, but it's not always my favorite. But even outside here, this one's better. That one's not. That one was blurry, so my shutter speed must have been too slow. These are downtown. I mean, nothing impressive about that whatsoever. The focus is not great. The exposure is not great. Okay, that focus is better. So I think I increased my shutter speed on that. Still not very saturated, so you know, and you can tell these photos kind of look like they're from the 60s, which is kind of cool. So that's one of the things I like about film, is that it's really hard to replicate when you are shooting digital. Let's see, this was a super weird place I just ran by. So, and the sun was I was kind of facing the sun, so it didn't really, thank you. Amazon just got delivered. So this one, like, the sun was in front of me practically, and I knew that one wasn't gonna come out very well. This one I jumped out and took really fast. Like I said, I mean, you can see the photo, but it just looks, you know, there's not a lot of saturation of color. Same here. But what I will say is I love that these look like they were taken in the 60s. So that's kind of a win. That one's not too bad. The sun was in front of me. I had to position myself so that the sun was behind that palm tree. This one cracked me up, and as you can see, I'm pretty happy with the exposure here and the focus. So that's a pretty viable picture out of this roll. This one's okay. not very vivid. Same here. That one's kind of cool. I honestly might edit the pole out of the way. Okay, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Colors on that one are better. That one not focused. I absolutely love this quote I ran into on a mural. It says stop, it's supposed to say the lens wasn't wide enough for me to back up and get it, but it says stop chasing the money and start chasing the passion. And that was a quote from Tony Hsieh. Loved him, read a couple of his books, Delivering Happiness. He was responsible for a lot of the revitalization of downtown Las Vegas and bringing some of that art culture, so he's very important. Painting over a restaurant. This is like the famous golden goose guy, little thing. And there's a bird sitting on his egg. This was right next to that. This one, I really didn't get, obviously a little overexposed, couldn't get the color in that one. Same there, that's at Ferguson's. This one's interesting. Okay, so, not bad for the first time taking the camera out. I definitely need to read that manual and just kind of get some better understanding of how the camera works. So I'll be doing that again another time. So that's that one. Okay, now let's take a look at the Olympus camera. This was really fun. This was at WPPI. They always have like a lot of fun exhibits and models and little setups for you to take pictures at. So this is the Elvis impersonator, obviously. But look at the colors on that, very vivid. The exposure's great, and that was indoors. So I can't use that same excuse I just used with the other camera, because this camera I'm just a little more familiar with. And like I said, it's this film, color film. That's a great exposure of the stratosphere. I took that on the parking garage at the Westgate. This is a good shot of the sign of the Mint Tavern, which is one of the awesome bars I work at in Las Vegas. So if you're in town, you gotta go check it out. It's over by the Strip. But that came out really good. I'm really happy with that. That exposure's good. Like I said, you're not getting any preview when you shoot film, you know. In these circumstances, it's that Sunny 16 rule I taught you about. That's my starting point when I'm trying to get my exposure if you're not using a light meter. So I'm really happy with that. This was inside. That did not come out good. It was definitely overexposed. There's me trying to take a selfie, but it wasn't focused. This was one of my little cuties at work at Parkway. It's another bar I work at, so you gotta go check out Parkway Tavern in Las Vegas if you're also there. But it's still cute because it's got that like faded matte look. So still cute. Same here. This is one of our regulars over at the Mint Tavern. Also, fun little fact, behind him is one of my photos hanging up in that building. It's also the same photo that's hanging up in my living room. This is one of the bartenders, Rob, that works there. So that one came out okay. It's just got that little faded matte look, which is cool. This one, I'm bummed it didn't come out because that is me and one of my good friends, MJ. So, and obviously I'm not taking the photo, so you can see whoever took it didn't know how to focus it, and that was Rob taking that. That's another bartender friend, and yeah, overexposed. This one came out great. My husband took this one for me, so that's my little booth when I show my work at First Friday every month. So if you're in town on First Friday, come by and see me. First Friday Art Festival, first Friday of every month in the Arts District in Las Vegas. And then there's me taking a picture of my husband. That's me taking a picture of my spicy margarita, which I like how that came out. I think I took that exposure all the way down to give it that shallow depth of field. This was the 4th of July parade, and these were a couple of the little Golden Knights cheerleaders coming by on the Knights float. That's not a bad picture, but it's not really usable for anything special for me, but it's still a cool shot. This one's better. I adore the showgirls when they come out. So I can work with this one, little cropping, little editing. This was that pink elephant that you saw on the other camera This pink elephant is from Mountain Springs Saloon. You know, that came out pretty good. I mean, shadows are pretty harsh, but it's very vivid, saturated, correctly exposed. And then these are those palm trees. These are those palm trees in Death Valley. That's a pretty good exposure. I mean, you can't really ask for better than that. That one's okay. These are my dear friends, the Toomies. It was Sean's birthday. They love to celebrate at this hotel in Death Valley, and they invited us. And that's an adorable picture of them. They've been together since high school. It's super cute. So there's that. Oh, so a couple pictures of them. You know, for those just being like candid pictures, they came out great. There's my husband, a little unfocused. There's me. Hubby took that, so he did a pretty good job. And then there's all three of us. Okay, so I'm super excited about this. I took this yesterday at Resorts World, and I used, this was actually the restroom, the women's restroom, and the lighting was kind of crazy like that, like a little club, and I only had a couple exposures left and I didn't want to mess it up, so I used a light meter app. So with just like a regular light meter, you let it know some of the settings and it will give you the rest. So I told the light meter that I was ISO 400 because that's what my film was. There's no changing that. And then I was gonna shoot at, on this one, ooh, I can't remember what I shoot at. I shot maybe like an F4. I can't remember, but I told it what my ISO was and I told it what my aperture was, and then the judging on, you know, just using the little light meter, it told me where to put my shutter speed. So I used that app. It was actually my first time using it. I was doing like the free trial and it came out perfect. So there's that one and there's that one. That looks like a digital shot. So I was really impressed and I was really happy with how that came out. So honestly, it's might be one of my favorite shots of the whole roll. And then I was really excited to get this little stardust shot. This was inside Resorts World. Not sure. I mean, I'm gonna have to edit either one of them. I'll probably use this one, do some editing to give it a little extra punch, but I'm still happy with the way that came out. Still nice and focused. Exposure's fine, just a little bit of that matte tone. And then my last exposure was this cool bronze statue of Mike Tyson. So pretty good exposure. I used the flash meter for that one since I had it. And so overall, I'm pretty excited with the way that came out. I take my 35mm film to a local shop out here in Vegas called Pro Image off Sahara. And I like taking it there because as long as you just want digital images, I don't keep the film. I don't keep the film strips, but he emails me the digital images in like 1 hour or less. So I really love taking my film over there to him. So that was really cool. I hope you liked it. Let me know if you have any comments about any of the photos or any questions about my process. Okay, I'll see you next time.